It's time now, everybody. It's time now. You know what's the name of my radio show? All right, we got to do the things. Are you ready to do the things?
I'm ready. Should I click next slide?
Well, we're starting, everybody. Here we go. We're going to just get it going.
Hi. Can they hear me? No, I got it. Hi. Hi, I'm Annabelle Scott. Welcome
Bolinas.
to the
Civic
June
Group.
2024 meeting of the Bolinas Civic Group.
Good times. Are you ready? You're on.
Gets me every time.
Me too.
Welcome. Digital translation is available this evening. So we have some headsets just over in the corner. I'm going to give you a demonstration of how that works, but we want everybody who's listening to have access to the meeting. So please hear me.
Good evening. If you'd like to listen to the meeting in Spanish, you can use the headphones that are here in the room, or if you're on Zoom, you can select the interpreter channel.
Buenas noches, si deseas escuchar la reunión en español, puedes usar los auriculares que están aquí en la sala o si estás en Zoom, puedes seleccionar de Interpreter Channel.
Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias.
Will made that, you guys.
I did make that.
It's really awesome. Okay. A big thank you to the Bolinas Community Center for letting us use the space, and to our fiscal sponsor, KWMR is how you say that. And I don't know who NOJ is.
Not other Joel.
Say more.
I'd like to thank our technological sponsor, Not Other Joel, for his support of this computer that is running the entire show.
Oh, thanks, Not Other Joel. Have fun.
Ask me about that later, Annabelle. It's hilarious.
Okay. This is a good one. This is a good one. I don't know who it is. Not Other Joel. Okay. Health, Sea Rise, Transit. This month's meeting is Bolinas Afloat. Okay. Will, tell us a little bit about Bolinas Civic Group, why it started, what it does.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, please.
Okay, well, let me go over here in front of the people so they can see my face. About the Bolinas Civic Group, why it is and what it does. This is a group for communication, conversation, and talking about information and stuff. We've been presenting informational content to the community for, gosh, I don't know, 18, 19 months, 20 months, 30 months, who knows. These meetings in particular are, as I said, informational. The idea is to teach and learn and understand and figure stuff out. We ask for respect in the room, so don't be calling out and yelling stuff. We will do a Q&A after for our speakers, so if anyone has any questions on Zoom or in the room, usually the speakers will hang out, and if you do have any questions need to be passed on to someone, I'm sure I can get them out there to you. And also, you should be able to contact the speakers after the event. All of their information will be shared on the bolinascivicgroup.org website, and that's a little bit about. Did I do a good job, Annabelle? Great. Okay, you're going to do the agenda.
Thanks, Will. Okay, this evening we're going to hear a little bit about the Why Project. If you've been driving by and wondering why are they doing this, we'll hear about aging from Health and Human Services, from the housing perspective with Home Match Marin, which is very exciting, Marin Transit, and West Marin Senior Services. We'll have some announcements, and we'll hear about projects, the Bolinas Sea Rise Initiative, and traffic.
Traffic.
Or lack thereof. Okay.
So I'm currently looking for Chloe. Oh, there she is. Chloe Cook is going to be on that. She's there on the screen. We're going to make her big.
Yay. Hi, Chloe.
Hold on. We're going to make her big. She's going to unmute herself if she can. Uh-oh. This is the part where the technology gets confusing. There she is. We're going to make her the boss. Chloe, we can't hear you, unfortunately.
I haven't started talking yet. First, I have to say, Annabelle, seeing you on the screen is so much a pleasure for me. I miss you. I want to see more of you. You look great. Good to see you. And I guess, are we doing aging now? Is that the plan?
Yeah, we're jumping right into it because,
Okay.
yeah, so you just go for it.
All right, I will go for it. Hi, everybody. I am an older adult. I've lived my entire life in West Marin. I have worked in other areas, of course, came back to work the majority of my career in West Marin. And I'm going to talk very frankly about what aging in West Marin looks like and what needs to be considered and planned for. Following me will be a variety of speakers on related services that can help you age in place, age gracefully, whatever that means, and really practically plan for your aging process. And I'm going to tell you right now, none of us get scot-free without disability. We get old or we die young. And as we get old, it's a difficult process. And we have to plan. We have to bring grace, acceptance, and understanding into that process. And I believe as older adults, we have a responsibility to represent aging as not a fearful thing, but as an inevitable and beautiful process. And we can do that by being and calling upon our wisdom, our strengths, and our abilities. Our abilities ultimately don't leave us, we give them up. And I'm talking about emotional, social, psychological abilities. Dementia is not the end of the road. It's one process that we need to plan for, accept, and acknowledge. Physical disability is just a transition from ability to alternative ability. So I really want to talk about how we as older adults in West Marin can better represent a healthy, positive aging process. Part of that is accepting the fact that limitations will be reality for all of us. And I want to encourage every single one of you who are looking at aging in place in West Marin to accept that. You will lose your driver's license. Carrying wood to your wood stove will be more difficult. Managing a healthy diet will be harder for us in West Marin. We are living in a rural community that doesn't have easy access to the basic resources that would kind of make it easy for us. We don't live in a community that we can walk to an affordable market. We don't live in a community where driving is easy. We are choosing to age in place in communities that have challenges. And Bolinas is one of those places. Where I live in the San Geronimo Valley has less challenges, I have to admit, but it has challenges of its own. So my whole approach tonight is to bring some, with the other speakers that are going to follow me, bring some options and some realities. And I want to talk a little bit about what government benefits can mean to us as we age. Those of us that have enough points and have paid into the system of care, which is Medicare, and you need 40 points to do that. And through our working process in our lives, some of us have paid those 40 points, some of us haven't. Medicare is an element of healthcare that comes to us at age 65. If you're very low income, you can also qualify for Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal and Medicare are like the best health insurance you can get. You don't need supplemental insurance plans. You don't need ARP, AARP. You don't need any of that. If you have Medi-Cal and Medicare, you're good to go. Medicare pays 80%, Medi-Cal picks up the rest. So I really want to encourage you, all of you who are aging in place in West Marin, to have a discussion with Karen, myself, Gala, one of our, county eligibility workers, to kind of discuss what options you have. If you're a Medi, you're good to go. You've got great health insurance. That doesn't solve your transportation, doesn't solve your nutrition issues, doesn't solve your housing issues, but it helps it addresses a big piece, which is your health care. As far as all of the other things that are involved in a holistic aging process, we have wonderful communities in West Marin, but they are busy. They are raising children. those of us that have family members my children live way far away from here. They're not going to be coming back to Marin to help me age in place. Some lucky members of our community are going to get that equation. Most of us are not. So we have to look at how are we going to fill our needs as we age in place in West Marin. And again, I want to reiterate, those needs will be nutrition, transportation, healthcare, safe housing. And when I talk about safe housing, that means housing with connection to community, accessibility, stability for the different weather events and climate change events that are happening. If you're living on the edge of a cliff or living at seaside, that's probably not safe and sustainable housing for you. So again, there's a lot to consider. And we have been very, very lucky to live in West Marin, all of us. But we have to really consider if there is a fall, if there is a limitation of any, whether it's cognitive, physical, or emotional, how are we going to put plans in place to really sustain our lives in West Marin? So again, government has a few things. There are other options, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about the county. I am a member of the county employees. The county building senior housing in Bolinas. Those things don't happen overnight. They don't happen in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Building senior housing in Bolinas should have been talked about 20 years ago. And I think many of us, myself included, didn't want a lot of development in West Marin. We didn't want these big complexes being built. We didn't want affordable housing. Those of you that did, I'm so glad that you were in our communities to help build Walnut Place, to look at the rehabbing of the Coast Guard facility, to actually accommodate low-income senior housing. But that's the kind of work that needs to happen. Those are the kinds of campaigns that all of you need to get on, working with Bolinas Community Land Trust, working with CLAM, working with the San Geronimo Valley Affordable Housing Group. And those of you that have property or houses that have different bedrooms, it's about looking and rethinking, what does living look like when you're an older adult in West Marin? My perspective is, and the way that I'm managing my property, is it's shared housing. I live with an 86-year-old, an 81-year-old, a 27-year-old, and myself at 65. That is a multi-generational living situation. And I am so grateful to have those people that are living with me on my property in my life. I took in a family, a 40-year-old and a 21-year-old, and they lived with me for a short period of time. They're moving out now. Those kinds of shared housing options are really important to consider if you do in fact have property. Also, donating your house as a potential shared housing setting is another option. Bolinas Community Land Trust is one of the places that could host a donation. But again, what I'm talking about is creativity. I'm talking about community pulling together. I'm talking about all of us making life decisions that mean sharing what we're doing, how we're planning, and who we are as older adults in West Marin with our communities, with our neighbors, and being realistic about what it's going to take to support a multi-generational community where elders, middle-agers, and young people can live sustainably in West Marin. And it's going to take all of us working hard and making compromises to succeed. And I think Bolinas is completely positioned to be a leader in this approach. So I know I'm challenging all of you, and I'm happy to speak again on the details. It's a big ask, but I think all of us need to be very realistic about what it's going to take. And I look forward to hearing from Marin Transit, from Stephen Simak, from West Marin Senior Services, and Luke from Shared Housing, because they're going to give you more details on how these kinds of relationships and how this work can really unfold in Bolinas. Thank you so much, you guys. I love talking to you. I'm kind of very passionate about this work. And if I want to lead my career in any way when I retire, it's going to be all about how can we live in healthy, happy, multi-generational communities that supports all of us in the best possible way as we age and grow in West Marin. Thank you. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Chloe. Let's bring up Luke with the home match. We'll get him on his prezo right now to talk about it. I have to do a little technical.
Chloe is with Health and Human Services at County of Marin.
There we go. Move your slides.
Oh, we love it.
Happy to see you in Bolinas, Luke.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Luke Barnesmore. I'm the Director of Strategy with Front Porch's Home Match program. Chloe just gave a really good introduction to some of these early slides, so I'm going to move a little bit through some of this early stuff, and we're going to get into what the program does. So just quickly, Front Porch is a 50-plus year nonprofit, provide housing and services for older folks in the community, run some life plan communities, affordable housing communities, and then I work with our community services division, deliver a number of programs in outsized areas for older adults, nutrition, creative aging, social connections, and then housing. That's our home match program. So home match is a shared housing program. We work with mostly older folks, but anyone over the age of 18 who have an extra room in their home or apartment or an additional unit on their property like an ADU, help them through the process of connecting and living with somebody in the community that's looking for a more affordable housing option. There's two major reasons folks come to the program, and a third that we love the most. First is the economic realities of where we are. A lot of older folks are living on a low fixed income, looking to increase that income through renting out the extra room. Where I think our sweet spot is the social connections side. Folks that are living at home alone could benefit from some companionship. We have a task exchange program, so you could ask for up to 10 hours a week of bringing in the groceries, bringing out the trash, things like that in exchange for reduced rent. And then the lovely side is the altruism, somebody who really wants to get involved in addressing the affordable housing crisis, make that extra space available for someone who works in the community and might be commuting quite a few hours a day to get there. Yeah, and we're going to skip the why. I think Chloe did a good job there. So our process. We'll receive an application from a home provider. We'll meet with them in the home. First, we want to just make sure the home's ready to move into. So let's say there's some cleaning that needs to be due to get the room ready, stuff that needs to go to storage. We need to put a permanent heat source in the room so that it's up to code. We help with all of that. Then we get to know the home provider. First and foremost, what makes a good match is two people who get along. So we want to look at lifestyle preferences, communication style, what works for somebody, what doesn't. And then, of course, is someone really looking for that companionship? We're going to need someone who's around the house a little bit more. If someone really just needs the income, maybe not looking for a new best friend, we'll find someone who's very busy outside of the home, and that works well for different people. So we've gotten to know the provider. We have a sense of what they're looking for. We'll take pictures of the room, list it. We have Craigslist roomies, obviously. We also work with a lot of community partners. We have a rooms catalog that we'll give to them. We receive the application of seekers, do some vetting, obviously income verification, background check on both parties, and again, an in-depth interview or two, or maybe three, depending on the situation. Really get to know who someone is, how do they communicate, what are they looking for in a shared housing relationship. We identify folks that would be a good fit. We'll make an introduction, have a phone call. If that goes well, we encourage folks to meet in person, see the room, also probably share a meal together, spend a few hours together, slow it down a little bit, make sure you're going to appreciate each other's company. When folks then decide they do want to move in together, we'd schedule a living together agreement that has two major parts. The first is agreements on shared space. So is there parking? Is there storage? How much storage is there? What are the guest policies going to be? Cleaning policies? What's the temperature usually kept at in the house? Does that work for both people? That ends up being a big one. So we've written out all these answers, expectations on the table. I think a lot of people say, what happens if it doesn't go well? First and foremost, the answer to that is take a preventative approach. Get to know folks, put people together who have shared communication skills so they can come over the things that come up in the relationship, get those expectations on the table. So we've done all of that. We'll sign the lease agreement, which is the second half of that living together agreement. Folks move in together, and then we provide ongoing support throughout the match. So let's say something is coming up in the personal lives of one of the individuals, we can help to do some problem solving on that front. If there is something in the relationship, a lot of the time it's like a broken appliance. and we can just come in and fix that broken appliance and relieve the underlying stress before it becomes a more emotionally involved kind of a conflict, that does wonders. But sometimes it does become interpersonal. We have mediation trained folks on staff. We also have third-party mediators if it comes to that. And then at the end of a match, we want to make sure both parties move forward into another stable housing situation. For our providers, that does usually mean rematching. They need the income, they need the support. For our seekers, we'll help to rematch them. We'll help them to know what other housing options are available. We can provide support with moving costs. A lot of the times someone does want to move to a new place, but maybe they don't have enough for the security deposit. We can cover all of that, make sure that folks are leaving the program stable, just like they're getting stability in the program. So just a couple of quick things here in terms of what works for the program: healthy communication, both sides. If there is someone who expresses abusive communication patterns through the vetting process, provider or seeker, not going to be a good fit for the program. We're going to ask them to try and find another housing option. For our home providers, one thing that's really important is we don't facilitate caregiving relationships. So if someone needs a caregiver in the home, we can't match somebody in to be that caregiver. If someone already has the caregiving, the match can be a really great way to supplement that. But if someone's in a place where they're really struggling to get their caregiving in place and we match someone in, they often become the de facto caregiver. So we just want to make sure that all of that is in place before we move forward with that. And then it's not subsidized housing. So our home providers set the rate of the rooms, and we ask that our home seekers be making at least twice what the cost of the room is. We're working on some rent subsidy stuff to help with that. So here's a great example. It's a San Francisco example for this slide, but these two gentlemen are both living on disability, been in the unit for a long time. Both were going to have to leave the city without the financial support. They moved in together. They're best buds. They've been together for like a year and a half now. This is a story you could read in the Chronicle if you wanted to go take a look. Gosh, this echo is really fun. And here's contact information if you'd like to get in touch with the program. And I'll also leave some cards. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it all the way to the end. It was a little bit of a different schedule than I was thinking. No, that's my bad. So I'm going to put these over here. If you have questions, please do reach out.
Real quick, I understood that you were going to be working with the land trust. Is that still happening?
So we're separate 501c3s, but happy to receive referrals coming that way.
Okay, we're doing a little digital transition here. And so next up, we're going to have Johanna from Marin Transit to talk about the new transit shuttle. Although Chloe is very large on the screen, so I don't know why that is. I have to figure that out. Let's see.
Take me down.
Working on it. You're so big. Here we go. Spotlight for everyone. There we go. And then feel free to start sharing your screen whenever you like, and hopefully everything will work out good in the room. There we go. Great. Everything's perfect.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. My name's Joanna Hewitt. I'm a planner with Marin Transit, and I'm here today to share a little background on our efforts to improve transit in West Marin, and also talk a little bit about the shuttle that we just started last week. We're very excited about it and excited to share information. So I will get started. Happy to answer any questions that any of you all might have. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our existing programs in West Marin. We'll talk a little bit about our history trying to make a dent and improve public transit for West Marin residents. Talk about our pilot shuttle service, our plans for community education and engagement, and then talk a little bit about improvements beyond the shuttle that we're working on and will be continuing to work on over the next couple of next few months, actually. So this slide here shows existing Marin Transit programs and services in West Marin. I'm going to start in the left corner. There's a picture here of our stagecoach vehicle. We offer Stagecoach Route 61 and 68. Route 61 offers service to Bolinas and Stinson into Sausalito. Route 68 offers service from downtown San Rafael through to Inverness. On the picture to the right of that is our Marin Access Volunteer Driver Program. And so we offer a suite of programs for older adults and people with disabilities in Marin County. They do offer varying service in varying locations. So our TRIP Volunteer Driver Program is one of the best options in that suite of programs for residents of West Marin. And that is a volunteer driver reimbursement program where eligible riders can have volunteers sign up and get reimbursed for trips that their volunteer provides for them. The bottom photo here is our depicting our Marin Access shuttles, and we'll talk a little bit more about those on the next slide. Here on the right-hand side, there's a map that kind of gives you an idea of where the services are offered. So starting at the bottom, the green line is our Route 61 stagecoach service. The blue line is our Route 68 stagecoach service. And then these two red arrows show the shuttles that I'm going to talk about next. And those are our existing shuttles that have been in existence prior to the start of this new shuttle. I apologize for any background noise. I'm in downtown San Francisco at the moment, so sorry for any background noise. But this slide here shows our Marin Access shuttles. And these shuttles are really designed to offer access for folks from West Marin to access shopping and other social services in the urbanized areas. So prior to the start of the latest shuttle, we offered the Point Reyes shuttle and the Dillon Beach and Tamales shuttle. They both provide service to various shopping destinations. The Point Reyes shuttle goes from Point Reyes Station to shopping destinations in Novato and includes the Costco shopping center and really anywhere else riders would like to go. The Dillon Beach and Tamales shuttle offers service between Dillon Beach and Tamales and shopping destinations in Petaluma. While these are branded as Marin Access shuttles, they are open to the general public. So any resident of West Marin or visitor can use this service. As you can see here, they operate on different days of the month. So the Point Reyes shuttle is offered bi-weekly on the first and third Monday of the month. And the Dillon Beach Tamales shuttle is offered weekly on Wednesdays. This row here shows the fare. So across the program, adults that are 19 to 64 pay $4. Seniors that are 65 plus pay $2. People with disabilities and youth also pay $2 per one-way trip. The nice thing about it that we've tried to offer is to allow folks that are eligible for our Marin Access Fare Assistance Program is to be able to use that fare assistance credit on these services. So if you're 65 plus and have a limited income or are eligible for Medi-Cal, you can likely qualify for the Marin Access Fare Assistance Program. And that'll give you $75 per quarter that can be used on these shuttles. And so many of our riders that use the shuttles don't pay a fare. Their credit is applied and they aren't required to pay a fare when they board. Finally, the kind of main difference with these shuttles and our regular stagecoach service is that reservations are required. And that's really because they're demand response shuttles and they pick folks up at their origin, meaning likely their home or some other origin, and take them directly to their destination. So in order to enable that service to work, we do require reservations in advance, and they can be made 1 to 7 days in advance. If there is space available on the vehicle, we do allow people to make a reservation the same day, but it's really, if you are want to be guaranteed that trip, we would encourage you to make the reservation in advance. So those two slides give a little overview of what we've offered to date. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our recent history of efforts in West Marin. So this timeline here kind of shows what we've been working on. In 2019, we really monitored other organizations' surveys and assessments of older adults' needs in the county. And then we were really stalled by the COVID-19 pandemic. So there was a gap in what we were doing between 2019 and 2022. In 2022, we rescoped a program that we have called the Innovation Incubator to really focus that on West Marin. And we also held a planning workshop with a variety of stakeholders in West Marin to brainstorm with community partners on what was needed and identify resources that are available. We definitely heard that there were many needs, and transportation was a huge need for folks. But at that time, what we found is that there were no community partners that really had the capacity to support operating a program. And so we also at that time had the need to pursue adjustments to our existing programs rather than shift and offer a totally new partnership program. So a lot of kind of planning stuff going on in the background, not as much on the front end. The next kind of thing that stands out here is in 2023, we were awarded federal funding under Section 5310, and that was designed and applied for to increase mobility options in West Marin. And at that time, we also collected additional feedback and heard that needs are shifting, but still high. And then finally, that brings us to this year. And in early, I believe February of this year, we did a follow-up survey with existing riders and community members. Many of you took the survey. Thank you very much for that. But that really, the goal was to hear directly from riders to understand what the needs were and to inform our program offerings. And finally, a couple of months ago, we received approval from our board to operate a new pilot shuttle. I'm going to walk through the pilot shuttle now, but just be aware that that's not the only thing that we're planning to do in West Marin. This is just kind of the start and was the low-hanging fruit that we were able to get started on quickly. So West Marin pilot shuttle, as I mentioned, it was approved by our board in April. And as you can see on the map here, what was approved was to operate a service within West Marin and to allow people to travel between Stinson and Bolinas and Olima and Point Reyes. We did get approval from our board to operate 1 to 2 days per week. And really the goal is to increase access to critical services and allow folks to get to the USPS and other locations to access health and human services, you know, a variety of locations in both ends of the shuttle. I'm going to talk next a little bit about the pilot service parameters. This shuttle, we're calling it the West Marin Connector Shuttle. It's really designed very similar to the Marin Access shuttles that I mentioned earlier. So it's a general public curb-to-curb shuttle service. It does require advanced reservation. It should not be thought of as a new stagecoach route. Again, it does require advanced reservations. But it could potentially, you know, depending on ridership, it could be something that we consider offering as a stagecoach route in the future. But at this time, it is not a stagecoach route and it operates differently. We partner with our demand response contractor Transdev on this. They operate our other Marin Access shuttles. And so drivers that operate the other shuttles may be driving for this service as well. The vehicle is really going to vary based on the demand for the day, but our max capacity at this time is 12 riders. As I mentioned, riders have to schedule their trip in advance, and for the first trip, you will have to complete a short registration process. Really, all that does is adds your home address and phone number into our system so that we can schedule those trips for you in the future. And then, as you see, the fares here, $4 for adults and $2 for older adults, people with disabilities, and youth. And that fare assistance credit I mentioned earlier is also available to use on this service. Oh my goodness, sorry for that noise. So this slide here shows the schedule. We had a lot of great feedback from community partners, and this is how we designed this schedule in order to determine the demand and kind of grow slowly. We are starting with one service 1 day a week, and this operates on Tuesdays. As I mentioned, it's a curb-to-curb service. Riders can travel from Stinson Beach and Bolinas to Olima, Point Reyes, and then do the return trip. So it operates in somewhat of a loop, and there are two pickup windows in each direction. So you can get picked up in Stinson Beach and Bolinas between 9:30 and 10 and 1:15 and 1:45. And then in the reverse direction, 11:15 to 11:45 and 2:30 to 2:45. We're going to monitor how this goes and continue to collect feedback from riders and potentially adjust the schedule or add additional days as needed. A key piece here is that there will be an opportunity for a layover in Olema. So if you need to do some business at the post office in Olema and want to continue on to Point Reyes, that can be accommodated. And it's really something that we want to give the riders flexibility to kind of do multiple things in one trip in one day. So that's it for the pilot service parameters. As I mentioned, we started service on June 4th, so last Tuesday. We've had a few riders and already gotten really great feedback from some of those riders and are using that to improve the program already. But as we go through the pilot, we are going to be doing an ongoing evaluation and we'll adjust the service as needed. So we'll monitor ridership, we'll monitor the scheduling experience, on-time performance, any customer service issues or trip denials, and then we'll really be monitoring the accessibility needs of riders. As I should have mentioned earlier, our vehicles are fully accessible, so folks that are using mobility devices or need to board the vehicle using a lift can do that. Again, ongoing evaluation on this. We'll collect rider feedback formally through a survey after approximately 6 months of service. And then we'll do a full analysis and make a recommendation to our board after 9 months of service. This slide just talks a little bit about our community education and engagement. We're trying to do a lot of things to get the word out. We'd love your assistance doing that. We have some marketing materials we can share, and we have a dedicated website that has information on this service as on this new pilot shuttle, as well as other services available in West Marin. And that is marintransit.org/West Marin. Encourage you to visit that. If you go to that link, there's also a place you can sign up to receive updates about our work in West Marin. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. We will continue to do community education and engagement over time, over the life of this pilot shuttle. And really are looking for feedback from riders and community members. Finally, that brings me to my last slide. And this kind of circles us back to the beginning slide here that shows the programs we offer. We are still looking at improvements to existing programs. So in the survey that some of you may have taken, we asked for feedback on existing services, as well as information to inform the development of this shuttle. But basically, we are going to continue to determine what improvements are needed to improve stagecoach service, what improvements can improve usage of the TRIP volunteer driver program. And we'll also take a look at another pilot program we have and determine whether or not we can offer that in West Marin. And so we'll be doing that over the next 6 to 9 months. We'll probably be coming back to you with more information and requesting some input from you. But that is it for my slides. I'm happy to answer any questions. My contact information is here. Feel free to contact me with any feedback or questions. We'd love to hear from you and know more about your transit needs and how we can improve service. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanna. And I will put that information on the Bolinas Civic Group website for you guys to be able to quickly get in touch. And I have to do a little bit of finagling with the technology for a second. So we'll get that started. And Steven's going to be next. Sound good? Steven's going to come. Yeah, Steven's going to be next. So let me just move all the things around. Do this over here. And then we do this. Oh. Glasses. I'm getting old here. Oh, there we go. There. Click this here. Click this there. And do this here. And do this there. Boom. Yeah, we're good to go. Go ahead, Stephen.
Hey, thanks, Will. Can you hear me? Yeah. So West Marin Senior Service is a nonprofit. It's been serving the seniors over 60 in West Marin for 50 years. It's basically a kind of a web of support that requires donors, volunteers, paid service, which we have a registry, which we always encourage people who want to help senior citizens, older people age gracefully in place. That's our mission. With enough support so that they can do that. And that is through our registry, we have a lot of people that are willing to help in certain ways, and they can basically lay out what they can do, what they're willing to do, and they're independent contractors. We, the staff, coordinate all that, and our services are free. We don't charge for those services. The service that we refer to, like for drivers, caregivers, errand runners, food deliverers, and we also have home delivered meals, which is part of our volunteer driver program. It's not, well, people live out here for a lot of reasons, but they generally don't want to live out, they don't want to leave, no matter what. And sometimes the stairs or whatever they moved into when they were 30 aren't quite as, forgiving as when you're 70 or 80 or 90 or God knows. I got a call about a family with a 102-year-old man. He moved out here like 6 months ago, and they wanted someone to help them walk around the neighborhood. I'm like, okay. I couldn't help them with that because that's a lot of responsibility. But, we do have, providers that can help people with almost any task they need. And for the lower income people, we have grants to help them pay for some of those supports. As the Westmoreland Senior Services, we kind of start with the home delivered meals, with the medical equipment loans, with referrals to caregivers or drivers. We have a lot of needs for paid drivers. We used to have a volunteer driver program, but as we all know, COVID changed a lot of things. So we don't have as many volunteers, but we still have a lot of paid drivers who are willing to pick you up at your house, take you to where you need to go, wait for you, or even go with you and bring you back home, buy you a burger on the way. That's if you're, so it's a great, it really does work because of all of those parts somehow mixing and matching and fitting together. And the good thing about our agency is we do call you back, unlike the county. Are they still around?
Yeah, they're still around.
So we'll call you back, leave a voicemail, or you'll reach us because we pick up the phone too. And email and dropping in. People are cornering me in the plaza. Please don't do that. But it's part of the job though. And so we enjoy it. I like old people, and I'm one too, so. And I think Chloe kind of gave the harsher elements of aging, and it doesn't have to be that way. So we have classes on healthy aging, fall prevention, social, writing how to be a social butterfly, because that adds 10 years to your life, Well, no, we don't have a class on that yet, but we will soon enough. And journal writing, lots of beautiful, some are Zoom, some are live. And we also work with all the other groups like, that have their own thing going on. So we really coordinate with other smaller clubs and things like that. So we try to keep our fingers in all the little pies. And that's, and certainly give us a call if you need it. Usually people need it when they've injured themselves or had surgery or need a ride. Fine, we're good with that, but if there's other things you need, we can brainstorm and try to find the perfect help for you to age gracefully in place and, not be so frightened of growing old. It's not all good, but some of it's great. So it's better than the alternative, right? Until it's not. And then we don't have a plan for that either, though. But we will add that to our list.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks to the whole aging thing. Who remembers like 2 months ago when we talked about aging? Raise your hands. Yeah, right. We talked about it, and then what did we do? We ran a survey, right? We talked about it a lot. We wrote that stuff down, and then now we're getting responses back from a variety of different people, and I think it's really great to hear about all of the different things that can answer some of our questions. Do we agree? Does anyone agree? You don't have to say yes. Yeah, but I agree. I think it's nice to hear responses back to questions. I like information. Next up is a friend who last time, this was, God, when was the last time you were here, Veronica? October, yeah, it was, and you were on Zoom and you were talking about why, the why. Everyone knows where the why is, right? Yeah, that's the why. Veronica's got some slides and she's going to go over a little update because if you've been paying attention, there are changes and things happening and there's like dumpsters and like stuff. So let's find out what's going on with that. I'd like to introduce Veronica Pearson, the Bolinas Y Project.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here in person. I'm going to have to get used to this mic.
Just give it a tap. Just give it a tap. There you go.
Okay. Gotta know what side. I see how it works. Okay. All right. So, yes, it's been since October, and the last time I was here, or not here, but virtually here, I gave an overview of how the project began, how we got to developing the designs and doing the permitting and the environmental review for the Bolinas Y project. Some of you may have not been able to see that presentation, so I'm going to just do a really quick background on how the project became about and where it's at. So behind me, or you'll probably see this map on your screen. For some of you, you can see State Route 1 at the upper end of the map, and then the Olema Bolinas Road, making one leg of the Y. And actually, I think it looks a little bit more like an A. But when we're done, it's going to look like a Y, because we're going to take out that crossover road, which is the extension of Fairfax Bolinas Road. So why are we doing all of this? Well, there's a few really important reasons why. One of which is that we have a declining steelhead population. So many of you may have a lot of history in this area and know that we used to have really strong fisheries, and there is a number of things that have contributed to the decline of fisheries. And one of the things is the development that happened in the early 1900s, and especially the road building. And what we did during that time was we moved creeks and we pushed them against the side of a hill and we farmed it, and then we gave the streams a teeny culvert to go through, and expected that it could handle the flows and that fish would be able to get up it. And so all of that isn't really working, and it's especially not working for steelhead. So there's a number of fish passage barriers, one of which is on which is the culvert that Olema Bolinas Road goes over right before the crossover road. So that's a barrier during storms because it's a small 8-foot box culvert and it just instantly gets filled with sediment because there's just not the capacity for the culvert to handle how much cobble and gravels come down. And then the steelhead can't make it upstream to spawn. There's also coho salmon. Pine Gulch Creek is where we hear about it. But unfortunately, we don't know enough about how coho moves in Bolinas Lagoon. But we're hoping that maybe that by opening it up for steelhead, we're also opening it up for coho if they choose to wander, to the east of Pine Gulch Creek and find, this open channel for them. There's also California black rail. I don't know how many of you know Jules Evans, but he's been watching the black rail population for a while, and they are stressed too because there's not a lot of tidal marsh for rails, and they like to hide. They like big grasses, in that transition zone from where the brackish water changes to fresh water, and they're not. They don't like to socialize, so they want to hide when the tides come up, and they need that transition zone in the wetlands. And by doing this project, we'll create more space for them because the seas are rising, and there's going to have to be somewhere for those wetlands to migrate. And we got another fun species, California giant salamander. I don't know if you've seen them in your creeks. They're just awesome, right? Like, we want to have space for them, and of course, red-legged frog. And it's just like such a rich wetland, right? Like, there's not many places where you have this beautiful estuary with all these freshwater tributaries, and the north end is really special because there's Wilkins and Lewis that come in, and it creates this great mix of fresh and brackish and tidal wetlands. So we want that to continue to persist. So with our goals, as we talked about, like, we just want to be able to create better habitat for the species that exists there. We also want to undo some of the damage that we've done, by taking Lewis Gulch Creek, moving it, putting a road that bisects the wetlands, right? So now the wetlands aren't connected, and that presents a number of challenges for hydrology and the species that live there. And then, as well as, you probably run into issues with flooding, right? Like, I feel like in the last couple of years, we've had some really good flood events on Bolinas Road. So hopefully by moving Lewis Gulch Creek, which I'm going to show you right here, putting it back onto its floodplain where it used to go, it was pretty close. We can't get exactly right because it used to actually be on National Park Service lands, and the county of Marin can't do anything on federal lands. So we did the best that we can on our county lands. We're taking out the crossover road to connect the wetlands. We're putting in a 60-foot span bridge so that Bolinas Road goes over the creek and can connect in a somewhat more 100-foot southern orientation to State Route 1. So that's going to do a number of things. It's going to allow plenty of floodplain capacity for Lewis Gulch Creek. So 100-year flood can go under that bridge, as well as we can see up to 6 feet of sea level rise. And that intersection should hopefully be dry. So you can get on the State Route 1 and creeks can flow and fish can move, as well as other wildlife. So there's a lot of things that have had to happen to get to this point, and it is removing invasive species, which is what you're seeing happening right now. So there is a major issue with Cape Ivy, and if you walked in that triangle between Bolinas Road and State Route 1, it was thick. It was actually kind of sad because there wasn't a lot of habitat there for salamanders and other species to move through because it was so dense for them. So hopefully by opening that up, allowing the natives to come back, we're going to improve the conditions, but it is a lot of work to get it done. We also have the Himalayan blackberry, which was just an amazing thicket that has grown in there. I can't believe how much we're pulling out. So thankfully we have the California Conservation North Bay who's been helping that. You've seen the youth groups out there working, and our partners, Golden Gate National Parks Conservancy as well, and Hanford Inc., who's been actually doing a lot of the training with the Conservation Corps youth. So what is coming in the next month? This is the exciting part because we started doing the design work, like concept design, in 2015. We really started getting into it in 2017, and we now have a contractor hired to do the work. So we got all the funding, all the grants, and the contract was just signed a week ago. So now the contractor, Anvil Builders, is trying to plan out how to order supplies, how to order a bridge. There's lots of materials that have to come, and hopefully, keep our fingers crossed, that will all start in June. But what's going to happen is because we have special status species we have to avoid, we have a very tight window. So we're allowed to go in and start working in creeks on the 15th, and then we need to be out by October 31st. So that is so that we're not working during the rainy season. If there's a chance that we have a dry October, we could get it extensions, but the deadline right now is October 31st. And we're going to focus on putting in the bridge. So all the traffic is going to end up going on the crossover road. That section of Bolinas Road between the crossover road and State Route 1 is going to get closed. And so there's going to be more congestion there than you're used to, and that's going to be during the summer period. There's going to be, traffic control. There's going to be changeable signs, 3 changeable signs on Olimo Bolinas Road, on State Route 1 on 2 locations. So hopefully we'll have lots of messaging, and we're going to tell people avoid going to Bolinas because there is major construction going on, right? There will be significant delays. So if you will see that messaging, we'll see how it works, okay? And then we're going to use social media to roll it out too, to let the people know who are coming that there are going to be construction delays. Expect long wait times. So that's one of the things we're going to be doing, is really getting in that bridge. There's going to be a season where we're just going to have to let the winter happen, and then we'll hit it again in June of the following year. And that will hopefully mean that we're driving over Lewis Gulch Creek, or on a bridge, and then we're going to start deconstructing the crossover road and then completing the last section of the stream. So I kind of covered it. I think most of the things I wanted to say on this slide. The only thing I would say is, no, I did say it all. Yeah. Oh, important things. We have biological monitors on site throughout construction, and these people are great. Like, they are there, they're watching the ground, and they're scanning to make sure nothing gets hurt. And they've been there since we started doing vegetation removal. Even before we did veg removal, we did nesting bird surveys. We have buffers so that no nesting birds are being disturbed. We have buffer zones for the rails, who it's their nesting season as well. So yeah, there's total site control for any critter that might come into the project area, and our biologists have full authority to stop construction if they see anything. We're also going to have cultural and archaeological monitoring during certain areas where we're in sensitive area, potentially sensitive cultural resource areas. We also are going to have Federated Indians of Great Rancheria come out and do tribal monitoring too. So yes, we'll have a lot of people out there watching the contractors to make sure they're behaving. We also have a construction management firm. They're called MNS. They work for the county, so they are there to make sure that the contractor's doing what they're doing, and they report to us if there's anything that's either not allowable per the permits or deviates from our project designs. Turn lanes on Olimo Bolinas Road and so the turn lanes for this season, there's just going to be the one, or you mean permanent change? No, there's not going to be any changes to State Route 1. The only change is going to be to the intersection of Olimo Bolinas Road and State Route 1.
Sorry.
Yes, and
Just if we just repeat the concerns from Howard are about the turn lanes and the concerns about safety and stuff, just for the people on the Zoom so they know what Howard's saying.
yes, and so I will just say, this project is planned by the County of Marin. So we have jurisdiction to make changes on our lands. We have to abide by all code development of Caltrans for anything that we impact, which is just the shoulder and the intersection of State Route 1. So we can't plan for Caltrans how to improve State Route 1, but we have communicated with them what the desires in the interest of the community are, and we've shared all of our data, all of our traffic studies, and we went through all of their design guidelines and required studies to demonstrate to them why the intersection, like the change just to the intersection is what meets their standards. But I will say that Caltrans is starting to look long-term about improvements that need to be made between the state route corridor of Stinson Beach to Bolinas, right? Because there's a number of challenges, traffic-related, flooding-related, resource constraints that they have to look at. So they're starting their studies right now, and that I'm going to say is quite a few years out. But I think the Caltrans, hopefully representatives will be coming more to the community once that begins, and definitely issues of circulation hopefully will come up when they're doing their planning. Yes. And I don't want to be able to, I can't explain how Caltrans makes their determinations on things. And honestly, when you look at the guidelines, and how they determine when to put in a left turn lane or when to not, or when to look at a circle, it's based on a number of factors. And yes, fatalities are taken into account, but they have like a chart that they have to do their mathematical calculations on whether or not they find it's warranted. So
We'll make sure when it's time for they show up, let's make sure we'll get them in to talk to the community. How about that? Does that work? Well, not if we've got a plan already. But as Veronica said, unfortunately the State Route 1 is not something that is under the county's jurisdiction. But I believe you did offer up an opportunity. We know that there's a plan and they're going to be showing up, and so we can grab them when they're here.
I'm sorry, you're the person that's here.
That's okay.
People who may come in the future, you're the person presenting the plan here tonight. And if you're saying there's no plan for left turn lanes, then that's a problem, I think.
Yes, but there's still time for a plan, just not part of this project. So if you want other updates, I would recommend that you just keep track of our webpage, and that's where we're going to post any change of conditions, as well as going through social media. I will come out and let you know too when there's anything major that you need to be aware of. But for the most part, our communication staff will be sending out blasts. And you also have my email address, and that's my work line. So if something comes up, you want to talk some more, feel free to call me. Yeah, thank you.
Right on. Thank you, Veronica. I just want to say, I have read all 900 pages of the PDF for this project, and I just want to say that it's amazing the amount of work that the county has put in, and of the years and years and years. And so it's really exciting to see things happening. It's really exciting, and I look forward to all the other things that we need to do to make sure that the community can be safe and all that other stuff. We gotta keep moving, but you can follow up with Veronica afterwards. Okay, would you like to come up and ask her publicly? Well, it's just that no one can hear you unless you come up to the microphone on the Zoom, because there's a bunch of people on Zoom that want to hear you. Okay, I'll repeat it. Go ahead. The question is statements about the big trash bins that were on the side of the road, and the green waste bins for green waste only. Not for trash, not for community use, and not for sofas, TVs, bedding, anything, not for your home, all that. Okay. Thank you to all of our community speakers. And we're going to move on to community announcements. We actually got an animation in on there. Signing up for community announcements. Go there. No one ever does, but that's okay. We're going to get people in. Tonight, we've got a host of them. We're going to start off with Amelia, who has an announcement she'd like. No? Oh, yeah, she is. She's totally going to make it. I know. I didn't get the form. I got to check my systems. After you told me that, I double checked. I didn't see it, so it's okay. We're working on it. Technology is hard, people. There's a lot of stuff going on. Let's start off with Amelia.
I guess I'm going to start here because I haven't even voiced this in front of the community. But we lost a child of Bolinas, a 45-year-old mother who has lived in Bolinas from the time she was 4. And she started some really beautiful programs here. She did food for families that would bring food to new mothers. And then it grew from 3 families. I think by the time it was done, it was 100 families. Coast Cafe helped with that. And then she had this project that she included everybody in the community in, creating stockings to hand out to homeless people. And it was something that I would go do on Christmas morning. I would go find where people were alone and make them not alone. And what she brought to this community was very individual because she included anybody. She had no, I'm with these people and not with these people. If you showed up, she smiled and encouraged you. And so we're having a memorial for her August 8th, and it's from 4 to 7 p.m. And I want the community to know that in every way I can tell the community, because in anything that we want to pay our attention to as having lost, it's a place to come do it. We lost something big, and it's important to acknowledge it. And it will be here, it will be potluck, there'll be an opportunity to sing your songs, to speak your words, to, like, with each other, to mourn what we've lost. And then we're going to walk down to the beach together and have a flower send-off. So put it on your calendars, tell who you know, and tell people to watch the video because they need all this information and they might not know what they're missing by not coming to the meetings. Thank you.
Thanks, Amelia. And there's a whole host of announcements beyond just the ones that come from the heart. There also comes from other people and other systems. So we have the Disaster Preparedness Group, and I'm just relaying a bunch of information that gets sent to me all the time. But there's a program about learning 5 simple steps to prepare for disasters in Spanish. It's going to be at the Firehouse, and they're offering up things to learn about how to prepare, and I'm going to put that up in Spanish and then show you the flyer so everyone can see this. This is in conjunction with the Community Action of Marin, West Marin Community Services, and the Bolinas Fire Department. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see what's next. Oh, yes. Stinson has a plan to, with their adaptation options. They've got a new report for the sea level rise in Stinson, and they want folks to come out and hear and provide feedback. So I'm sharing this from Isaac, a cohort of some people in the county that I know there. So that's that. Next up, BCLT could not make it tonight but they asked me to let you folks know they're going to be doing an update in the hearsay on Friday. So they would like you to take a look at the hearsay to see their update. Unfortunately, couldn't make it tonight. And then we've got the 4th of July. And Megan has some asks. Asks? She got asks. Yeah, she's got asks. Those asks are also on that QR code right there.
Oh, nice. Goodness gracious.
Hold on, I got you. Hold on, here we go. All right, go.
Thank you. So I'll be so brief because there's been a lot of amazing information tonight. Thank you, Bolinas Civic Group, for all of this. I'm Megan Matson, president of the Bolinas Lions Club. We have been bustling away in prep for the 4th of July. I want to make sure everyone still understands that this is a event for the two communities, Stinson and Bolinas, so we don't promote it online and we don't turn it into a destination event outside of our communities. That said, it's going to be really fun for our two communities. We've got a beautiful design in. Thanks, Will, for hooking the effort up with Ollie Whitcroft, who put our tug of war t-shirt design together. Lisa Herbert's done a beautiful job rounding up the sponsorships for the tug of war. I want to thank every local business and group who said yes to Lisa Herbert. And then if you have questions about the barbecue and helping out on food service, Emmy Lucchetti and Lisa Herbert and Mark Sanchez have been busting away on that. We're really putting a push out for people to bring their floats, their creativity, their art, their music, their politics, their noise to the Bolinas Parade this year. You just need to get set up at the end of Wharf by 10:30. Earlier is better. And it can be one-person floats, just someone looking awesome or noisy or shocking, walking down the road is a float in the Bolinas Parade. So get going on that. I think, Will, don't you have a title?
Who's the title?
Don't you have a title?
I'm a title?
Director of floats or some such?
I mean, is that official? I'm officially the director of floats? What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
So then I wanted to thank everyone who's volunteered. We're just now really making our way through the list and following up with shifts. And we're doing pretty well on food service. The tough ones to get are, we shut the roads down for the day. And that's a big deal because once you say that the roads are shut down, people feel safe on the roads. And that means we need people at the Mesa, Olima Bolinas intersection. We need people at the top of Terrace. And then right here in town, Raymond Bagley does a wonderful all-day job on this one. I really have a hard time staffing Terrace. So there are these 2-hour shifts. So if you know that you're not on a list and you'd like to be, and you'd be willing to take one of those loaner shifts there, or we also man the parking lot at Mesa Park for the shuttles. So we'll be reaching out to book those shifts, but overall it's going well. And then let's see, I wanted to let you know we'll have another spaghetti dinner, no obligation, but for volunteers, a last sort of meeting before the day, June 23rd at Rod and Boat Club at 6 p.m. Again, no obligation, but if you haven't plugged in and you want to join us for that dinner, or if you just want some spaghetti for your volunteering, we'd love to see you.
It's very good. And I did, on the Bolinas Civic Group website, the 4th of July page does have a form to sign up and get connected. Is that good?
Thank you so much.
Okay. Ooh, sorry. Last announcement. This is a weird one. I'm filling in for Jeff on Epicenter, the KWMR radio show. It's tomorrow at 11 a.m. I don't have a guest. So if anyone wants to be on the radio to either ask me questions or for me to ask them questions, it's at 11 a.m. It's in Point Reyes Station. Being on the radio is a lot of fun. I don't know if you've been on the radio before. Ton of fun. I'm happy to interview anyone, and I'm happy to have anyone interview me, which I thought would also be fun because that makes it easy for anyone. So if anyone's interested, contact me, find me. That's community announcements for this evening. And we're doing really good on time. Goodness gracious, it's almost like this was all planned. Next up is community projects. And this will be, oh yeah, animation's done. Okay, I want everyone to say hi to Rob. Okay, do you know who Rob is? I met Rob the other day, and the reason I met Rob was because we had a conversation about the summer and the traffic and all of the things. And so what I did is I reached out to DPW. Rob came out, and he put traffic counters all over town. They're everywhere. You've all driven over them. He hid them in the shadows. It's really crafty. Rob was really gracious. We had a really great conversation. They're going to do this multiple times throughout the summer and into the fall. We're looking to establish a baseline of traffic and also our summer traffic. We're trying to hit some of those big swell days. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but those big swell days are getting very big. I don't know why it says contact speakers down the bottom, probably from another slide. But it's really exciting. Rob was really great. He was really excited. He said he was so glad when I talked to Brett at the county, they were just happy I wasn't like a soccer mom who was worried about speeding, although I did tell him I was worried about speeding. So the good news is these traffic monitors do speed, they do counts, and they also do vehicle weights. And what I learned the other day is, do you know how much a Tesla weighs? A lot. And so this is going to be a lot of really good data. So I'm really excited and gracious for DPW and for Rob for being a good sport and coming out. And it's really nice to have this information to help us make better decisions in the future. And I wanted to give a short little update on Sea Rides. We had lots of things planned to talk about, but as all things go, we want to make sure we get things right. So just a little bit of updates on the Sea Rise project. We've got some updated models that we're working through. We met a hydrologist standing down at the end of the road. He was walking his dog. I think we told this story already, but the point is that we got a hydrologist. He helped us understand which right buoys to use some really great math that is so far over my head. And then what's really exciting is then I met a guy in town who does GIS, which is Geographic Information Systems, and the goal is to build some new tools that the community can use. And so we have a member of our community who's an expert in this stuff, and we've been going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, a whole lot of back and forth, but that's what working with science is, as I've learned. And so we want to make sure that we get the data right, and by that I mean they want to make sure they get the data right before they put it out to the community. Also, we've been working on some new designs and some other things. It's all very exciting. The one thing is there's some new partnerships that are being forged with different agencies around the Bay, and there's new relationships. The project, as it got kicked off, has spurred a lot of conversation, both in town and outside of town. And so we're working to foster those relationships with other partners who are in the same realm of sea level rise. And that are our community projects. And I think, did we do all the things? Oh my goodness. Look at this. Look at the timing on this. All right, so exciting community speakers, community projects. Our next meeting is going to be. Yeah, well, we got hands in the room. Hands in the room. Yes.
Is there a post office update?
The post office update, I think, was pretty well documented in the LA Times story on the front page. The members of the post office committee did not choose to provide an update to the community today. I think there's some ongoing conversations, etc. And so I'd say your best update would be the Los Angeles Times front page, which was pretty well researched and well done in terms of a story. And it was amazing. I wanted to put a slide up on that. So that's the update that I have, is that there is an update in the paper and that the group chose not to present this evening. Yes, Howard. Wanted to talk about the school. Okay, let me bring up a slide just for you. Come on. Howard asked me earlier. He said, "Can I talk about the school for a second?"
I just want to congratulate everyone, for the record, concerned with the Bolinas School graduation today. 8 beautiful young women graduated from the Bolinas School in the 8th grade. And I just want to make a shout out to all of the parents, all of the teachers, all of the friends, and the 8 young women themselves, that they've now graduated from Bolinas School and will go on out into the world. No men in this graduation class. No, not even young ones. That's all. Just big congrats.
Thanks, Howard. Thank you, Howard. I totally forgot that you asked for that. Okay. Next meeting, well, everything is got the slides and stuff, and even though we mixed it all up. Okay, next meeting, July 10th. Oh man, that's gonna be right after the 4th. Ah, goodness. It says 7 to 8, but I actually meant that to be 6 to 8. This whole late evening thing, a lot of feedback. People got dinner and other stuff. We're gonna shift the timing back to the old schedule. Does everyone think that's cool? Yeah, okay. You know, we had a conflict in the space earlier. More information, as always, on bolinascivicgroup.org. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great night. We'll see you next month.
Very nice.